Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome if you're new. I'm Stacy and today we are going to be finishing up this canvas. I have already tried to do a collage on top of it with papers and Liquitex matte fluid medium and gesso. I should have used clear gesso, wasn't thinking clearly. See what I did there? And yeah, it's been a long time since I've worked on a canvas, and I have no idea what I'm doing. This canvas goes through so many iterations before it reaches its final destination. First, I'm going to collage and draw on it in my head. This is what I'm thinking. And I get done with the collage, and I don't like it. I love the textures that I created, but I'm not digging the feel of the collage. I wanted the paper to be more visible, and it's not. So I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do with this thing? I have no idea. Well, I gotta do something with it. Let's try something. Let's turn the camera on and try something. All right, let's do it. And here I am putting India ink, Dr. P.H. Martin's India ink, on top of a damp canvas, just because I like it when the ink flows. Not. I was thinking color choices. I was thinking still of doing like a dragonfly in flight, and yeah, this didn't turn into that at all. I was thinking about doing a dragon, didn't turn into that. um, I'm hitting it with a heat tool, and I took a couple of hours working on this particular piece. Taking my spoon out of my coffee because it's a little loud. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Nothing quite like a morning coffee and voiceover recording to start the day, right? And I really didn't like how dark it was when after I put the inks down, and as I dried, I was digging some of the textures that I was getting, which you're not really seeing a lot of the textures because of the glare of my overhead light, but too many like square. You could tell where I used the brush to put down the foam brush. I had a square foam brush that I was using for the Mod Podge, and the gesso or Mod Podge, the liquid, the medium, the matte medium. Um, I did think about using Mod Podge on here, but I don't have any left. I gave the last of my bottle to my daughter. And I'm thinking, what do I want to do? Me tapping my fingers like that on the surface is me thinking. I spend a lot of time tapping on the surface and thinking, what am I going to do? All right, I really like the bubble technique that a person I follow did. She did really beautiful bubbles in watercolor. And I was like, well, let's try to emulate that and see what happens. I was thinking about doing my dragon, my bubble dragon, on this piece, and that didn't work out either. I'm using leftover gouache from my palette right there. Yeah, I'm all over the map with this one because I have no idea what I want to do, but I know I want to do something with it. So I'm just trying things. I'm experimenting. This is me experimenting with different mediums on a pre-stretched canvas. Something I don't do often. And when I see canvases in the store, I still get excited. I still think, ooh, look at that canvas. It's so big. I love a nice big canvas to work on, and I like to work big. I prefer to work big. Um, when I get my new setup, I'm going to get myself a nice easel that lays flat. One of the ones that I can lay flat and sit up. I don't know if they have a formal name or not, but I do want a very versatile easel for my space. And I will be doing much larger pieces in all the mediums, honestly, just because I prefer to work large. If I prefer to work large, then I should work large. I do like working in my sketchbooks. I keep things pretty small for the camera for YouTube. This canvas is, I want to say, 2.5 feet by about 1.5 feet. I'm guessing. But I used to buy canvases all the time. I used to wait for them to go on sale and buy a bunch of canvases. Back in the day, when I first started trying to become an artist, and I thought I had to use either acrylics or oils to be a professional artist. I couldn't use any other medium and be considered a serious artist. And I mean, that pretty much has been shot clean out of the window over the years. So now I do whatever the heck I want. I play, I mix media, and the more I get into this creative life of mine, the more creative I become, the more willing I am to try different things. And I'm still trying to make these into bubbles. I have no idea where this painting's going at this point. I'm trying to make them into like soap bubbles, but different colored, reflecting different lights. And this is in my head, a fantastical piece. It's not something that's going to be real life or realistic in any way. And I just keep laying in colors. I have no idea. And I look at the camera to get that far away look. I'm looking up at the screen of my camera to see how overall it looks, because the space I'm in doesn't really offer me that kind of far-reaching view. So I look in the camera to see where I'm at. And once again, I'm using leftover gouache paint from two previous paintings that I did for Patreon. I think one of them was a YouTube painting as well. I'm really digging the gouache lately. I have the Arteza gouache tubes, and I have the giant, I think 48 count of jelly gouache, and then I have a smaller metallic set of jelly gouache. So I have quite a bit of gouache. So in the interest of using all of my art supplies throughout the year, of touching all the things I love to use throughout the year, mixed media will definitely come into play. At this point, I'm like, all right, maybe this is space painting. Maybe these are planets. Who knows? Maybe this is planets. All right, well, let's try that. Let's give it a whirl. So here I am dripping in, trying to use up some of the granulating paint that I have in this leftover in this palette. This is my leftovers palette. I really, really don't want to waste the paint, but I really, really would like this to be a clean palette that I can mix watercolor and or gouache in, because I love the size of the palette and the center mixing space. I'd like to have 3 or 4 of these, honestly, on my big table when I get my own space. One for blues and greens, one for yellows, probably one just for yellows and like light colors, and one for darker, more earthy reds and oranges, and one for so here I go, getting all kinds carried away with my palette choices. Reason being, I generally am using watercolor, and watercolor's rewettable, and once you put it in the palette, I don't generally clean my palettes between uses either. It's something sometimes I will, sometimes I want fresh paint. I really need fresh paint, fresh, clean, not muddy. And this is another palette that has a bit of gouache on it from previous paintings, and I don't want to chip it out and throw it away, so I'm trying to use it up. This is a pink iridescent pearlescent kind of color. Once again, I can see the paper still, the pink paper pushing through all of the layers of color that I've already put on. So I'm trying to embrace that a little bit here. And just rolling with that feeling. And then white gouache to try to make these planets now, I guess, stand out against the back. And then I'm like, white is probably not the way to go. Maybe we'll go in with this. I have Prussian blue and black on in gouache on the palette as well. So you'll see that build up as we go here. The Prussian blue and the black, I just mixed them together to create a dark. And then I found these cool little foam brushes at the store and thought they'd be good for making different textures and circular marks. And I thought, well, why don't I just grab one of those and put down to get down the big area of color that I want to be dark. So that's what I'm doing here. Going in and the noise this is making is a little grating. So it's probably good that I'm doing a voiceover because it's catching on the textures of the canvas and making kind of terrible noises. We jumped ahead a little bit. I lost a little footage. I didn't realize the camera had turned off. But I'm trying to get more depth, more push it back a layer of dark. As I looked up at the mirror in the camera, and everything is too uniform. So I need my darks to be very, very dark, and I'm trying for that here. More Prussian, and the Prussian dries very dark. If you put down a nice layer, Prussian blue can dry to almost black. It's for me a great color to read as black, and that you can see pushes all of those soft colored planets forward. And apparently in this solar system, all of the planets are layering each other, and there's a lot of them. I have no idea if that is even something that is possible realistically, but in my world, here they are. Maybe they're moons. Maybe they're a bunch of little moons around the bigger planets. Who knows? An ever-evolving solar system or galaxy. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I decided to go in and get a little dark on the back half of this planetoid over here that is off the edge of the canvas. And now, I'm like, all right, well, we need stars, so I'm going in with wet gouache on wet gouache, which is fine. But once it dries, the white that I splattered on will kind of disappear a little bit because it's mixing in a bit with the dark background color, which ends up being a good thing because it gives a little more depth to the star situation, I think. And then I'm splattering on paint and just playing around and thinking this planet needs a light edge, a little bit of glow on it, and I really like that. And I go in and put a little bit of glow on some of the planets with the white gouache mixed in with the other colors, so it's not pure white. It's more of a cloudy color, a murky white. Yeah, I light that planet up and then I get it too light and I drop in a little bit of dark. And then because these planets are layered, I feel like I need to put a little bit of shadow, like the planet in front of it is shadowing the one behind, that kind of thing. And my shadows make no sense whatsoever. I'm just trying to create contrast here and Maybe this planet back here is just dark naturally. It's just a dark planet. And I kind of embrace that. And then I'm really wanting some metallic glow. So I'm trying to incorporate these pink pearlescent. And I think I have a bronze or a gold on this palette as well, that I put out like a year ago on the palette, and I just haven't really needed it since. So it just kind of lives here. As these two big blobs of paint just kind of live on this palette. One day I'll be like, all right, we're going to let you go. We're apparently not going to use you, and it's okay to just let it go. And that planet is a little metallic, so I create a little bit of metallic on that little one that's in front of this larger one. And I'm doing dry brush technique over the top of the textures that I have on the canvas. And I am kind of loving it at this point. And the more I paint, the happier I get. The more I push, the more pleased I am. And I love doing galaxy paintings in watercolor. I think that they're super fun and a great way to practice color and water control, or lack thereof. A good way to practice letting watercolor do its thing and not trying to control it. With gouache, you can be a little more controlling. You can layer the colors. Acrylic gouache is more forgiving when it comes to layering colors in a bold way, because once it's dry, it's dry. It's not going to re-wet. Your layers underneath are not going to re-wet and mix in with the layers that you're putting on top. With regular gouache, water-soluble gouache, it does re-wet and it does pick up and it does mix. So you've got to be mindful of your water to paint ratio when you're using gouache that is water soluble. It is the general rule is to work as you work your layers up. I found that your paint needs to be just a touch thicker with each consecutive layer, and then you're not going to pick up those under layers, and you're not going to use too much water, which is an ongoing issue for me. Here I am smacking in more stars, clusters of stars. I decided I would really like a little cloud-like effect ripping through behind here. Kind of okay with it. Kind of a Milky Way kind of effect. Now that I'm looking at it, I go back and forth. I go light, I go dark. I like the idea, but the execution, I could use some practice. And I don't love this painting. I had fun doing this painting. I may gesso over this painting at some point and create something else on this canvas. Right now, I'm just going to live with it for a while. I'm going to, it's actually leaning against the wall behind me, and I'm just kind of living with it. Yeah. So hitting it with the heat tool, making sure it's nice and dry, because we have a house full of people and I don't want someone to bump it and muck it up. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Yeah, this is pretty much it. I'm just kind of tinkering and wrapping things up. I kind of enjoy it. The more I look at it, the more I like it. Yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. I had fun. It was a relaxing listening to my book, painting, listening to my audiobook, and just chilling. So here we go. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.